Hey everyone, a couple of things I want to cover today. Firstly, my apologies for not making this video a little bit sooner. All right, number one, I want to address the elephant in the room, or rather, the elephant on my lip. My apologies, I tried to cover it with lipstick, but it didn't really work. Just a cold sore that's trying to dry itself out, but I do have some stuff from the chemist. So Virax wasn't quite doing the job to heal it, but I've got some extra stuff now, so my apologies for that, but it looks worse than it is. So anyway, so I was going to make this video a few days ago, but here's where I'm a lot vain. I have this thing about my hair. Now, I just actually got my hair cut today, which is why it looks half decent. and it's out. And I got a fair bit cut off because I've got my surgery coming up. That'll be the second thing I'll touch on. So remind me. But I wanted to touch on this topic a few days ago, but I was having a bad hair day. I didn't have the energy to have a shower and wash my hair. And it's one of those things where if my hair feels gross, I feel gross. And I just didn't feel up to making the video in that sort of state, which I look back and think, gosh, that's so dumb, because who am I talking to? People who understand that and probably experience that and have experienced that. Yet I still judge myself and expect people to judge me because of that, because of my appearance. And I'm so sorry. I forget who I'm talking to. But it's so nice to not have to worry about those things. That's so nice. Because we get misjudged enough as it is, And that was a big thing I learned. Big lesson. And that's why I created this channel. To create a community where we're amongst friends, where we get it. And what did I do? Didn't walk the walk. Didn't talk the talk. I was an idiot. My apologies. But it was a big thing I wanted to share. So I'm making this video while I have decent hair, but isn't that stupid? But mainly, although it's just looks this decent because I got a fair bit cut off because my surgery's coming up. And a few people have asked how it went. It was supposed to be a couple of weeks ago, but I got a call from the hospital to say it's rescheduled. And basically that's the purpose of this video. It was rescheduled because there were priorities for surgery ahead of my own, which I knew would happen, and that's totally fine. What isn't fine is how my case has been handled, the whole time, and what I've had to do about it. And to fill in the blanks though, my surgery is 2 weeks today. So I've actually had a cold for about 5 weeks. So probably in reality worked out a lot better. I'm in a much better physical situation. So can't complain. But the point of this is that we have to be our own healthcare advocates. If not for ourselves, at some point, there's going to be other people in our lives we have to advocate for. And I'm an advocate for my elderly mum as well. There's a lot of home care services that I have to push to make sure she gets, and equipment and different things to keep her independent in her own home. And I'm just grateful I've got the opportunity to do that for her because that's in her best interests. The longer she can stay in her own home and independent, the better for her. So I'm happy to do it. But advocating for ourselves or for somebody else isn't always easy. And it takes time and it takes energy and it takes motivation. And when you're not well yourself, it can be really hard to keep going. And it's easy to let the healthcare system or service providers, whoever it is, get their way. And we don't win that way, you know? So I guess this is about keep going. If you're in that situation and you need something and you're not getting it, it's so important to keep fighting for yourself, because they're not going to. Why should they? You know, I had a form that I had to fill out before my surgery, and there was a question that asked, are there any mitigating factors that would affect the scheduling of your surgery or something else like that? I said, yeah, my partner's working overseas until such and such a date, and it was in April. So I wrote that down and gave a few days leeway in case, you know, his flight was delayed or something came up last minute for him. So, you know, I needed him back in the country to look after me in those first couple of days after the surgery. So put that all in. Unfortunately, whoever was processing the form didn't enter that into the computer, or didn't, just overlooked it, I don't know. And I was offered a date for the surgery in March. Well, he was still overseas, like I told them. Wasn't due back for like 2 weeks, so I had to turn it down. And they're like, oh, well, and I said, well, it was on my form. Oh, well, you didn't see that. Well, why did you have that section on the box, on the form, if you're not looking at it? So I had to push and push and push, go into the office, the hospital, make countless phone calls, leave messages, just to get another date allocated, even though I was told that in that case I would be at the top of the list. Well, I fell through the gaps, and I finally got a date. That was the end of May. Then that got rescheduled, and I was told, well, you know, you'll get another date. And I said, well, okay, well, when's that likely to be? Well, I don't know. I'll have to let you know. I see. Well, unfortunately, I had a sleep study already booked in, an overnight sleep study, and the following day is a narcolepsy test, and that was at the end of July. So I'd have to reschedule that. And 2 weeks prior to that, I had to come off a medication that is essentially keeping me awake during the day. So without that, I fall asleep like that, which means I can't drive because I fall asleep like that. And that's what was happening over December, January, until I got this medication. And that's why I'm doing the narcolepsy test, to see if I have it. And if I do, I'll be able to access this medication at a much cheaper cost. So I won't have to reschedule all of that and then change the timing of that. And then I had another specialist appointment booked in, for which I have to travel 3 hours north to get to. And then another specialist appointment a week before that in Sydney. So luckily it just worked. I could keep everything in place. Because, you know, it's not easy to get specialist appointments. You know, they book up. So it was going to be an enormous difficulty. And my partner had already put in to get time off work. So I had to reschedule all of that. So I was able to so I had to push and push and push again to say, right, I need to know. I don't care when it is. You know, if it's October, that's okay. My gallbladder can probably wait. And if it can't, I'll go to the emergency. But I need to know so I can plan the other things around it, because I have comorbidities. I took phone call after phone call. I had to call my specialist because they were blaming him. I had to call the hospital again. Finally, I get a call. Oh, I've rescheduled you for this date. Thank you. And it worked. But, you know, if I just let them run all over the top of me, I could still be waiting today for a date. And that's not good enough, because I did everything right, followed all the correct steps, gave them the information they needed. And I understand why it works that way, because the people at the other end are just doing a job. They don't know me. They're not invested in my life. but I'm invested in my life. So I need to, if I'm not getting the results I need, I'm the one that's got to get out there and push. And I did it very civilly, politely, but forcefully. And I had to. Otherwise, I wouldn't have, got what I needed. So I guess the point I want to make is, don't feel like you have to just accept the status, well, not the status quo, that's not the right word, but what you're just given by these systems, because people aren't invested in your life and don't know the full picture of your life, particularly when they don't understand they're dealing with complicated people. They're just seeing papers. So it's okay to kind of, to push for what you need. And sometimes you've got to, because no one else is going to. So advocate for yourself. Get what you need. It's not easy though. And it wasn't. It wasn't easy. There were times that I do not want to have to call that hospital one more time and get their voicemail or get the same old story, the same old line of, we're doing the best we can, okay? So I go, no, it's not okay. But I channeled my inner Wonder Woman, took a few deep breaths and thought, okay, today I will just make that call. Focused, pulled myself together, did it at a time when I didn't have fibro fog, had a clear head, and I could cope with it. Whatever the outcome was, I could cope and did it. And it didn't matter what the outcome was. I just knew I had to keep going. And that's all you can do. That's all you can do. Eventually, the thing is, had I not done it, I would have still got the same outcome. But if I do some actions, I might get a better outcome. So why not try? Why not do something for myself? Can't make it any worse. That's what I kind of figured, right? I mean, Jack, unless you go and piss them off and they put you at the end of the list, right? So don't do that. You got to be nice. So that's the whole point. Still be nice. Make them retaliate. Yeah. So anyway, hugs to anyone who's going through something like that. I hope that's helpful. Just getting that balance, right? It's not easy. There's little bits at a time. Just one extra phone call might make the difference between getting something a bit better for yourself. You can do it. All right. So see you next time. Bye for now.